All right, welcome back. We're here to talk test prep and exam prep, and now we're talking breaks. Joining us today, all the way out on the East Coast, Jessica Bush from Tutor Doctor, North Jersey. How are you?
Good. How are you all?
Fantastic.
Good to be
All the
here.
way on the West Coast, Mr. Chris Lien in San Diego.
Good morning, good afternoon, good day.
Yeah, you're a couple hours behind, huh? And then right smack dab in the middle of the desert, Mr. Byron Zahm in Albuquerque. How are you?
I'm doing great. Glad to be with you guys.
Fantastic. And of course, I'm James from Tutor Doctor here in the Midwest in Indianapolis. So break is almost here. There's lots of breaks throughout the school year. Great time to kick back, relax, not think about school, not do anything else, right, everybody? No, that's what everybody's going to do. But we're going to talk about how you can take a little break, but get ahead. Use that break time to recharge, refocus, get on track and get ahead. So let's talk a little bit about breaks. They're all throughout the school year, right? What are some things that we can look at? Assuming we're going to take a little break, right? Does everybody agree? A couple of days maybe makes sense. Yep. Take a little break, right? If you need to go somewhere, do nothing, take that break. But when you're feeling recharged, what are some things we can do to get back on track for test prep?
Well, I'll jump in, and first of all, I just want to focus on the break part for a moment. Look, if our students have been, working, they're well into their school year, whether it's, a spring break or Christmas, winter break, whatever it might be, we're assuming that you've been working hard, you've been diligent, and if you have, then you deserve to take a break, right? We're saying is that enjoy your break to the fullest, but also take advantage of that break, because one of the key things that you need to think about is when you're competing for the opportunity to you know put yourself forth when you're presenting yourself to a school. Yes, we're going to be looking at ACTs and SATs and so forth like that, but you want to be able to differentiate yourself from the others, right? And so what's going to happen when it comes to breaks, right? Everybody is going to want to take the break. But if you're the one that says, look, hey, I can use this as an opportunity to separate myself, to distinguish myself, to get ahead, you're doing something that most are not doing, right? So that's what you want to do. And so I just want to, first of all, just put the emphasis on, hey, if I'm really looking to get ahead, if I'm really looking to set myself apart, then let me take advantage of this break time to do that.
If you're already working with somebody on test prep, you've most likely already planned out the calendar and you know what you need to accomplish over this break, right?
Hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully, I think that's one of the things that we want to talk about, because if you haven't, taken the time to, look at your calendar year and what things are going to happen when and how you can prepare and plan, and how does that include, SAT testing or even AP testing, perhaps, you want to, if you haven't done that, a break time is a great time to start doing that. And of course, take the time to consult, with a third party,
Yeah.
like a tutor doctor who is a professional in this, can help you, guide you through that process about what might make the most sense for you, or at least look at the options.
Sure. Good point. Jess, what are some things you could be doing? If you're already engaged in test prep, what are some things that you could do over this break?
That's a great question. So using break is really important. Whatever the breaks are, I always say, go skiing, go recharge, go have fun, and then come back and let's do some work, right? So if you have already started your test prep and you're on a path, use that time to maybe pump up your sessions, maybe get another 1 or 2 sessions in there while you're just less distraction is really important. Take another full practice test. Use that time to really evaluate where are your gaps, what questions are you getting wrong, what questions can you really focus on with your tutor. Do some more practice problems. It's a really crucial time, especially if you have a test prep plan and program already in place, to use some time as well as to have fun, but also to do some really focused work.
Excellent. Chris, how about the opposite side of that coin? What if I haven't started test prep yet? Where should I start? What should I do on this break?
Well, exactly. And I want to start by mentioning bridging what Jessica just said and what Byron had said earlier. I can't get out of my mind the old McDonald's commercials from the 80s, or, when I was a kid, you deserve a break today. Now, I'll spare everybody from singing it, but it is true. We all do.
I wasn't born yet, Chris. I don't know that song. Sorry.
And so, well, you can find it on YouTube, right? That's what you can do during your break, James, is search YouTube video. A very productive way to look at any form of break, whether it be a 3-day weekend, a weekend, or sometimes even a Friday afternoon. Use it for a little bit of a mini retreat, if you will. I mean, most of the parents that are watching this have been on retreats, conferences, you have them in religious circles, you have them in corporate circles, all that. Why is that? You sort of retreat from the battle line, from the daily grind, and use that, as was mentioned earlier, reflection, observation. What's going well? What do I need to add? What do I need to subtract? What do I need to revise? And so there's a little bit of that should happen periodically for students, ideally weekly. But when we're in test preparation, we want to take a look at how are things going. Now, I want to raise this up a level for those who are not yet in test preparation. This could involve students who are even in the 7th, 8th grades, and above. There's several different things that you can do. Is number one, the longer breaks that you'll have, Christmas, winter break, spring break, and summer break. Take a look, take stock of where things are at. Get an assessment. There are the PSAT, there's 3 different levels of that. There's the SAT, the ACT, all the way from middle school upward. There are great ways to get a third-party independent measure of a student's strengths, primarily in math and English, but also some critical reasoning skills and things of that nature that don't typically or may not show up in school exams. So use those as little 2-hour time windows and reward the student after doing that. Get an idea of where do things stand. And that gives you some objective information if you hire a subject tutor or test preparation tutor. Now you have the beginnings of a plan and a schedule that can form the cadence to move forward with test preparation. But that's always take that break. But at some point, if it's more than 3-4 days, especially, you'll want to use it productively so that you don't rust. And then the last thing I'll just add to that quickly is there's a difference between screen times. There's gaming, and then there's other screen time that is used for educational purposes.
Good point, because so much screens are such a part of it. I have a couple screenagers in my house here. But so if I had to boil it down, if we're on a test prep plan, follow the plan, get relaxed, recharge, follow the plan, add additional sessions, get engaged with your support. If we're not on a test prep plan yet, use that time to get started, figure out a baseline, do an assessment, do a full-length practice test. One of the things I like to recommend to our folks, when you're in the heat of the semester and you've got homework and you've got essays and you've got tests coming up, it's tough to figure out how to fit something else into the schedule. And so we always like to look at assessments over breaks. Weekends are a great time to do it too. If I've got a 1-hour Mindprint learning assessment, I can carve out a weekend, hour out of weekend. Breaks are a great time to do that. Do you recommend using assessments? And if so, which ones do you guys like to use?
Well, when Chris mentioned critical reasoning skills, that my mind just lit up right there, So absolutely, I agree with you. If you haven't done an assessment at any point in your academic career, doing an assessment like a Mindprint cognitive skills assessment, it's such a great tool because you can, when you really understand who you are as a learner, when you understand what your strengths are, and that you can find real practical ways to focus in on those strengths so that you can experience the success you're capable of, that's inspiring, right? And if you understand what your learning barriers are, instead of it just fighting against them and getting frustrated and exasperated with it, why not understand it well enough so that you can know what things you can do differently and how you can overcome those, right? And the beautiful thing about our Mindprint cognitive skills assessment, it gives you real solid data about your complex reasoning, your memory skills, your executive function skills, and all of those play into the SAT or the SAT, because depending on who you are as a person, you will perform better in one of those tests over the other. We don't care which, as long as it's the right one for you, right? So taking an assessment like this will not only empower you for your SAT, but it'll empower you for your whole educational experience going forward.
Yeah, no, great point. Jess, you seem like a reader. Do you recommend reading lists, book lists?
I do. I think that it's a great time to catch up and do, if you have a book that you're working on, if you have to do an assignment or an essay for an AP language, AP literature class, or even an honors class, stay reading, right? I think it's really important. Kids don't want to read, but they got to read.
Yeah.
And it will help them with their test prep as well, because they always say, what is the best way to practice to get better on your SAT or ACT? It's to read. In fact, around here, they say, read the New York Times every day. That's what they tell everybody. But it's true. You have to read.
Yeah.
But I want to come back to that because I also want to talk about the time involved for those juniors that haven't started any type of college planning. Go visit some colleges. A lot of kids I know, if they're going to go away, visiting family, if there's a college near where you're going, go visit the college. Even if you just walk around, if you don't have any time during the school year to do visits, visit. If the kids aren't there, it's better than not visiting at all. I really highly recommend that.
Good point. Good point. And then obviously we talk about SAT and ACT a lot. Chris, I know you're well versed on AP exams and AP prep. Anything we need to do differently to use the break for AP prep that you recommend?
Yeah, I very much recommend that the student, and particularly if we're to be speaking about really the winter break, excuse me, the Christmas break timeframe, that's a good time before the heat of the battle, once again, before the AP exam prep usually begins in classrooms, usually that first semester based schools. They will spend a lot of time reviewing, just teaching the coursework at the beginning. And usually at the halfway, sometimes the 2/3 of the school year mark, that's when classroom instruction starts teaching a little more to the test in many cases. And they'll bring out the different types of test, practice tests and things of that nature. I like to use the phrase necessary but not sufficient. And that's what that is. It's super important for students to maybe during that Christmas break, winter break, go through and start forming a plan. We mentioned the word plan several times here. And get an idea, what week, when in time do I want to start preparing and having a dedicated weekly session or two to go through and start working on practice tests, start diving into a little more, what is an AP exam question like? What is the greater context of it? How does it differ from my regular honors and subject tests? And we typically have recommended the Barron's books, usually around $20 or so. You can get them at Barnes & Noble, on Amazon. They're great. And tutors can step through that with the student, like a good spotter in weightlifting, making sure that the student's going to do the work, be coached, but also having that third person interaction and observation. The University of YouTube works in a lot of situations, but not when it comes to a high stakes exam like the AP exam or SAT, ACT. So that's saying, get a little bit of a plan. Think about the next 6 months, January to June. What do we want that to look like? Make the plan to make that happen.
Awesome. Awesome. I think we just filled up 6 months worth of break there with all that. We're talking about assessments. We're reading,
sorry about that.
Doing lists. We're preparing for AP. We've got practice tests, full length tests. One great place to start is our college planning guide. I know we've got it for free on our website, tutordoctor.com. There's a wealth of information in there about how the tests are designed, the schedules, the timelines, who to contact, how to get engaged. So that's another great reading resource, whether you have that already or the latest version. We just updated it recently. So we get lots of information to think about over this upcoming break. But to boil it down, recharge, refocus, a little bit of fun, recharge those batteries, come back and some work done. And when you're ready to do that, reach out to your Tutor Doctor office. You can find us on the web, tutordoctor.com. Any one of our bright smiling faces will help you. And we've got a whole network of folks that are just standing by ready to help you get to that score. So appreciate the time today, all of you. Any other final parting thoughts before we let you go?
Hey, enjoy your good
breaks.
time enjoying it, and then
I'm going to enjoy it. I'm
for
not going to ski like Jess. That's not me, but I'm going to enjoy my break. All right. Have a great one, everybody.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.